ladies and gentlemen, welcome to, it's March 9th, 2022 gathering at City of Lawrence Parks Board. Good to see your smiling faces, that we're all together. Didn't hear condolences to Karen Taylor, whose mother did pass away recently, so keep her in her thoughts. Been rough for some people. Also, Lawrence, I graduated with him, but he was a big role in Task Force 1 firefighter Mark Rapp also passed away. His services and the like will be this week, and he coached with me at LN, and I got to coach with his son on the cross-country team, and graduated with his wife, Nancy. She's an LN grad, or LC grad also, so just a few important points I wanted to touch upon. Also, want to introduce the City of Lawrence's new Chief of Staff. He doesn't lose the title Chief. Thank you, Mr. Hoffman, and I always compliment him when you get to teach or coach either talented athletes or smart kids. We coaches and teachers pat us on the back. I had the pleasure of having the Chief's kids in class. Couldn't ask for better folk than him or his kids, so we're not going to let you run off very far there, Chief. Glad to have you on board here. Real quick, before we jump into the order here, you guys, the board's got my message today, which I will be communicating with you. We are tabling catering agreements, and there's no, just because I think the world of our OIO folks, I don't want any one of you panicking and freaking out. We're going to get our use agreement done. You're going to keep playing ball. We're going to get that done next week and the like. I've got OIO, FC, Pride, and youth football. They're kind of stacking on top of me. We have no issues, but just let me know when you're available, and we'll make that happen. Real quick, Eric, well, from my other hat, April 7th at 11 o'clock, the public is welcome. We're going to have official groundbreaking, though they've been breaking ground, for the library, and it is open to the public. And I've been on when I was originally on the Reuse Authority in '95, we talked about a library back then. And 25 years later, it is happening. So we're excited about that. Also, if you notice, the Otis Avenue various stages will be closed for periodic due to the construction infrastructure for the Purple Line. They've already got signs out for that. Heads up there. And we did get 3 bids. Yay, Rob. Joe Murphy can sleep better at night for the Civic Plaza. And Shrewsbury, architect, designer, is going over all the particulars the next week or so. I talked to Heather. We'll get down to the brass tacks. So exciting stuff, folks. And spring has sprung for us. Eric will give us an update on Thingamajig Pickleball. The main features we have tonight, we got a couple of actionable items. Structure point, and a change order, our second change order for the pickleball, and a couple presentations from Liz Mazur. And are you tag teaming with Ms. Corey? And tag teaming on the Lee Road Master Plan proposal. So we got some fun. Like I tell people, and Chief, when you come to our meetings, we enjoy each other. Okay, we actually get things done, and we actually enjoy what we do. So that's why most people leave smiling. Nothing real exciting. I don't have any particular questions or anything of Eric. So, board, do you have anything you want to run by Eric and the like?
I might be jumping ahead. Are we going to be hiring for summer help this summer?
We'll have seasonal positions open that should be on the website now, so
okay.
Have somebody in mind, like your
son. I was thinking of him already. I mean, I know he has buddies. Ms. Corey, is the city hosting, are we hosting a job fair coming up?
We are.
And
April 21st is from 3:30 to 5:30 at the community center at Lee Road Park.
Okay.
community park.
The community park, sorry.
And let's make sure.
I think of Lee Road too much these days.
We need to make sure we either have a face that's there, information, because we need 4 or 5 seasonal folk. It's no longer an option.
Last time we did the job fair, Jeanette did have a table there for the city of
City,
Lawrence.
yeah.
So for all our positions, so I will confirm with her
Please,
that she is going.
thank you. And Eric, if anything, you know, what, I want particulars, what's the pay is going to be, what the job act, the whole 9 yards. We got to get 4 or 5 summer help. I love my other Jimmy's department, but I'm advocating hard for this department that we get 4 or 5 summer folk out there because we really need their bodies. Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Eric, you got anything for us?
Did you do the minutes already?
No, because I'm an idiot. I was watching the Butler game before I got here. They were only down 3, so you're telling me I got a chance. So got to get focused here. Hey, thank you, Ms. D, for getting these sent out. Folks, if you've had a chance to go through them, are there any additions, subtractions, egregious mistakes? If not, I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
A second?
I'll second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. All right, Eric, it's your show.
Just real briefly, the City of Lawrence and the YMCA will be joining forces to offer the Spring Fling this year on April the 16th at the Lawrence Community Center. So
What time we kicking that off?
I believe 10, I think is what we're going to do.
All right.
If you want to come hunt Easter eggs, we'll be there for that. We're still,
Can I just add?
Sure.
I'm sorry, but I just want to add this because it's pretty exciting. This year, we also have crafts being added to the event. And so students from Lawrence Central's Arts Honor Society will be running crafts for us, as well as students from Mackenzie will be doing face painting and, or hand painting, whatever kids are comfortable with. So we'll have some additional things to get people to hang out a bit.
good. Yeah, stay a little longer. The ARP funding for the city is still in the Finance Committee, so
What, in particular, what are we
the
advocating?
Parks Department's looking for 1.5 in trail development. Just a little over 125 for playground or maintenance items, and then about 10 grand for programming. So
Okay.
we hope to hear something about that maybe at the next finance or mid-month meeting. So
And that one is on the 16th of March.
16th of March, 5:30. So.
Okay.
Other than that, you've got some things. The pickleball, the change order is for a additional driveway for AES for Power and Light.
And it's temporary, correct?
Well, it'll stay there.
Okay.
It'll be a gravel inlet. So we'll put it in fashion where we can pave over it sometime or whatever we might.
If you haven't been out there, we're waiting to get the top coat and then AES to get the hook up the transformer, correct, the lights?
Yeah.
And the issue is, I'm glad they think about that. They don't want to drive on that property. So, and we'll get to it later. We got to pay to have it graveled over so they can do their work.
So we were hoping to do grand opening sometime into March. It looks like it might be the first week of April.
Okay, that's kind of what I
As
thought.
soon as we get schedule events, if everything would be April the 4th, but
Give or take.
yeah. So we'll,
We discussed, we're getting new equipment, whatever, want to share?
the controller asked us to provide a list of wheeled vehicles. So we're asking for a new truck for the department, a sprayer to spray our athletic fields, and then also a new backhoe to replace our 23-year-old backhoe. So actually signed the letter of authorization for that today. So hopefully sometime in mid-May or mid-April, we'll have a new backhoe for the department. So, but I thank the controller for including us in this line of funding through our lease company.
All right. Anything else?
And I think that's it.
And we'll meet before this date, but mark it, the city's doing a citywide cleanup on April 21st. So, Eric, I know Parks Department will play a role. I plan on donning, I was a retired bend and stooper, as we used to call ourselves, when I worked for Eric way back when. And you're more than welcome to come out and give the city a bit of a facelift on April 21st. There's plenty to do.
Yeah, the Parks Department will work 46th Street primarily from Carroll Road all the way to Post Road. So it take us about 4 or 5 hours probably.
So come out and get some fresh air.
There's plenty out there.
Oh, God, yes. Yes. All right. Being nothing else, I will let Liz and Corey arm wrestle as to who wants to do their presentation first.
Oh, yeah. A lot of people do that.
They were both running up there to do it.
I'm staying out of Liz's way.
You are wise.
Yes. I get a little smarter as I get older. A little bit. A long way to go. Okay, this isn't working.
So folks, what this is just about the Lawrence Community Parks Foundation and its partnership with the City of Lawrence Parks and Recreation and the pollinator plantings and the reasons for it and what's been done. So lots of specifics because I don't think you've really ever gotten a lot of specifics. So figured it was about time. So the next, thank you. Okay. What do I need just to go to the next slide?
Oh, isn't that in, oh, there we go. We just click
Just click where?
right here.
Right there. I can do that. Okay. And you're not supposed to read PowerPoint slides to people. They always say they're not going to read them, but then you do read them. So I'm going to read this to you. Okay? So the Lawrence Butterfly Project's mission is to create sustainable spaces to aid imperiled butterflies and other pollinators and to educate the citizens of Lawrence about the environmental benefits of pollinator-friendly habitats. We want to make Lawrence Parks a monarch destination, okay? We are part of the flyway when the butterflies are going from Mexico through North America, and so we're in a great place to help butterflies, in particular monarchs, and other pollinators. And this goes back to, this is the Lawrence. The City Council made a resolution back in August of 2021 where areas filled with butterflies and other native insects provide pollination and natural pest control and are also an important part of the food chain, providing food for birds, bats, and other animals, and this helps us out too.
And just a little sidebar there, that area just south off of B Road Park. Originally, we tried to develop that in my first stint of the Reuse Authority, and we got slapped down significantly because that is a habitat for brown bats.
And bats eat a lot of mosquitoes. Actions thus far: 5 acres of native habitat planted November 2021, thanks to $15,000 allocated by the Lawrence City Council and the support of the City of Lawrence administration, where Gem Park, Lee Road Park, Veterans Memorial Park, Richard Street Park. So, and you'll hear more about that in April, what's going on with it. But and monarch butterfly populations have plummeted due to the decimation of milkweed, the only plant monarch caterpillars can eat. Why are we planting habitat for monarch butterflies and other pollinators? More than a third of the food we eat is reliant on pollinators. Pollinator habitat is disappearing. We can help by planting native flowers. There are some concern about native habitat plantings. What about bees? And I'm going to whip through this really fast, but bees really are not a major problem. So, when it comes to kids, many more kids are harmed by sports-related activities and falls. Bee stings are very seldom occur. And here's the graph that shows how, if we're going to be worried about stuff, let's worry about sports injuries and falls. Not to be negative, we shouldn't worry about those. We just deal with them. But I like that graph. It shows that bee stings are not a major concern, because bees are busy collecting pollen. And avoid the following, and it's unlikely you'll be stung: waving your arms around and panicking bees, picking bees, wasps up, poking their nests, whether on ground or in trees, walking around flowering areas with bare feet. Don't be a Homer Simpson. Some people have concerns about native plantings not being tidy and attractive. And you can do mowing, you see on the left-hand side, and create areas to delineate which are the native plantings. And you don't get rid of all the grass. They can work together, so they can be, should be, are able to be very tidy and attractive. Want to point out that grass isn't always that fabulous. There it is in the spring and summer. In the fall and winter, it's kind of brown. Wildflowers go dormant in the fall and winter and turn brown, but so does grass. Consider waiting to mow the natives in the spring, especially flowers like coneflowers. The old flowers are brown, but the goldfinches, which eat their seeds, are bright as jewels, so focus on the beautiful birds which are being fed by some of the native habitat. So, there is some concern: messy milkweed. Will the neighbors get mad? Milkweed seeds may be blown into nearby yards and milkweed seedlings might appear. However, they can be pulled up easily and or mowed if you don't want them, which I don't understand why you wouldn't want them. So, why native plants instead of introduced plants? Milkweed, and you've already heard this, is the only source of food for endangered monarch butterfly caterpillars. Natives are hardier and need less maintenance and water once established. Natives have adapted without pesticides and fertilizers, making those pollutants unnecessary. Natives interact healthily with local insects and animals. A typical lawn is a green desert, a monoculture which doesn't provide food or homes for the insects, which are the foundation of the circle of life. So we, in Lawrence, in the parks, we need some grass for, baseball, right? and soccer and stuff, but there are lots of places, there's lots of room for native habitat, which is beautiful. So.
And Eric, the only place our athletic field, right, spray?
Yeah, most of the park areas we don't
You
mow unless it's a real infestation of something. But.
Planting natives helps our environment. Planting native flowers and grasses helps the insects upon which our food system is reliant, reduces pollution because they don't need to be constantly mowed, nor do they require fertilizers and pesticides. The American Academy of Pediatrics says children's exposure to pesticides should be limited as much as possible. So the more native plants we have and the less grass we have to maintain, the fewer chemicals there are that could create problems. There's a growing scientific body of evidence that commonly used products are not as harmless as we thought. EPA registration does not mean products are safe. And there's a site there which gives specifics, but I'm not going to pull that up. So gardens, and that means we're talking about native plantings, which is what we've been incorporating in those 5 acres. They are eco-friendly And this is example of National Wildlife Federation's certified wildlife habits include these elements and can support twice the amount of wildlife. Songbird babies rely on thousands of caterpillars and other insects supplied by native plants. Roughly 30% of native bee species are pollen specialists that restrict their diets to specific native plants. So I know some of this has been repeated, but cannot emphasize enough that it helps the insects, which are so important to us. These are signs that are actually being posted at the parks from Monarch Joint Venture, and they explain what is going on at the 4 different parks, why milkweed is being planted, and the importance of native pollinator habitat.
And Eric, those have been put out or in the process?
No, they're still in my office, so no, they haven't been put out yet.
The greatest of weather lately.
Yeah.
And this is what you guys have heard this already, but monarchs need our help. And this shows the life cycle and how milkweed, the role it plays. So, and we will also have monarch way station signs as we make Lawrence a monarch destination. And this site provides milkweeds, nectar sources, and shelter needed to sustain monarch butterflies as they migrate through North America. And plans for the future: plant more natives in Lawrence parks and encourage everyone to plant natives. You can put some milkweeds in your front yard, backyard, and we can be little stopping off places for monarchs as they travel. And then I'm going to briefly show you the flowers that have been planted. Some of them, like hairy beard tongue, what a great name. Deer dislike it. Attracts hummingbirds as well as helping birds, okay? And the reason we have to have nectar flowers because the monarch butterflies, the monarch caterpillars, once they hatch and turn into butterflies, they need nectar flowers. So you can't just have milkweed to provide the food for the caterpillars. So here's lance leaf coreopsis. Interesting, I think this is really interesting, it's listed as an invasive alien species in Japan. So some people in Japan took it back there, and now it's creating problems there because it doesn't belong in Japan. So just like Japanese honeysuckle doesn't belong here in the United States. White false indigo, host to orange sulfur caterpillars. Rattlesnake master, it's in the carrot, celery, and parsley family, and the sap used to be considered a preventative to snake bite, although that's not true, but it's just the fun story. So, western sunflower, early sunflower, button blazing star, Riddle's goldenrod, songbirds such as indigo buntings feed on its seeds. So once again, it may be not the most gorgeous plant in the fall, but it's feeding birds. So, New England aster. So we are going to plant more, and so if you want to help, we need money for plants and signs. And these are just a list of all the plants and grasses that have been planted at the parks. And there's a video. I'm not going to play that because...
In the meantime, check out this video. It comes to us from Kara Deaver. She's in Lawrence, and what you're looking at is called a...
If you want to watch it, we can. But I think I've taken up enough of your time.
Well, a couple things. Last May, the reason why I remember is I went to the Grand Prix practice, racetrack, get home, I'm watching a baseball game at 5 o'clock. I heard the damnedest humming outside. And my neighbor has a pool, goes into the pool, and it just kept getting louder. I go out in the backyard, look up about 20 feet. The swarm, it was a bee swarm. And so I called the guy. Remember, they charge you nothing. Get rid of the bee swarm. And he got it down. Next door neighbor kid, for 4 hours, it was free TV, but the coolest thing, we got the bee down. He was able to isolate the queen. men and women have all the power, just go ahead and tell you that now. When the queen was isolated, the whole world came to a stop for those bees, and they just followed her in. And I asked the guy, I go, what do I owe you? He goes, oh, I'll be able to sell these pollinator colonies. He goes, I'll be able to sell this for $1,000. Farmers, primarily, they're out of Hamilton County. So if you have that issue, Bob Potter, who Liz and I know and talk with, old track coach at LN, he does that as a side gig. Keeps himself entertained. So just keep that in mind. Eric, the tight end, our Pheasants Forever garden out there, when did that get cut down?
I can't cut it down until after spring because it has coneflowers in it.
Well, that was going to say until it's the spring season.
Yeah, we try to, I'd like to burn it this year, but I don't know if I can get the
Will
fire
we at
permits.
least cut it down?
We will,
Okay.
yeah.
I was just thinking, get it mowing and Liz, you and Eric are the expert. Everybody's gonna ask, when they go out there and they just see this patch of dirt, when will we start seeing shootings of seedlings?
They'll start coming up in May, and it's not exciting this first year. Everyone stay together. The first year, plants sleep. Second year, they creep. And the third year, they
Leap.
leap. So you just have to,
Because we're gonna get inquiries with that, so every time I see you, I'm gonna make sure we get that message out.
and you can give people my number, and I will talk them.
Walk them off the ledge.
I will, and it's that sometimes you have to wait for good.
I've had neighbors ask, they go, watch this, they go, we gotta breathe first. We'll have flowers. Judith, it's like our cultural campus, isn't it? Took time. Well, cussing and time, got us a cultural campus. There you go. Thank you, Miss Liz. Always a joy. All right, Ms. Norman and Ms. Ford, that's, Chief, that's what I said, we do fun stuff here. Now, this presentation we're getting, and we will then lead into our proposal for structure point. You know, we are repurposing Lee Road Park, and we've got several things on the docket here. That's why in my email to you folks today, I make a comment, lots of moving pieces. Nothing bad, it's all good, but just lots of pieces. This is kind of our first soiree, and in essence, Leroy Park is amongst other places, is a big shot in this. So ladies, take it away.
Thank you. Jeff had kind of signed, I guess, as he does, because he loves to give homework, that Amy and I really look at the social media piece. And of course, being true to who we are, we couldn't stop and just look at the social media piece. So we really looked at marketing and what we can do to really help market the parks and really help people understand all the wonderful things that are happening and the changes. If you drove around on this beautiful day in Lawrence this past weekend, it was so nice on Saturday to see so many people in our parks everywhere. And if we start and we continue to add amenities and grow, we need to be responsible and share that information so that people are taking advantage of the investments that we make. So our mission comes right our vision actually comes really right out of our structure point. The mission and vision kind of does, and we just condensed it a little bit because they were very long.
Yeah.
And so the mission is to enhance the quality of life, health, and wellness of the community's residents, and that is definitely there. But our vision really takes us, and we added the word visitors in there because it was so focused just on our community. But also we know that parks can be good for economic development and having things happen. So our vision really is to be the place that residents and visitors to come and they relax, gather, play, and really enjoy themselves, that they say, hey, I want to go to Lawrence Parks because we have something that's special and makes us stand out.
We have 3 campaign goals. You'll see a theme of 3 things on a lot of this. But increase engagement, in our parks, in our social media, grow revenues, and embrace our history. And Mr. Vest, you might be getting homework in that area since you're the reuse guy. Okay.
So we have a two-pronged strategy of educating and then strengthening partnerships. So through the newsletter that the city does, really making sure that we're highlighting one park a month and letting people know what's happening. And so that they know what to come to those parks to look for. Creating handouts for parks table at city events and making sure that we're putting them in, I see a typo there. No, it needs apostrophe. It's gonna, bilingual. And we really want to make sure that we're, doing them in Spanish as well as English and really reaching all our populations in what we are doing. We definitely want to increase our social media, and we want to inform and encourage city employees to use also the parks, but also take advantage of some of the rental opportunities that they have, so that we have 300 employees for the city of Lawrence. So, what happens when we get our 300 employees, making sure that when they have something going on with their family or their friends and they rent a park facility to do something, how many people then are told? So that's that whole word of mouth thing. So how do we get something doing? So that's just the beginning parts of it, and we know there's a lot more we can do to educate. And then we're also looking at strengthening our partnerships. So it requires partners to really promote our parks. So having City of Lawrence representative at kickoff meetings and articles and all that, and other people's newsletter, sharing information with MSDLT. The one that's not on here, and today when I talked with Rotary, is how do we partner with our nonprofits, and that we continue to let them have a partnering with our programming, because all of a sudden now everybody at the Y who went to their spring fling before and didn't come to our egg hunt and went to theirs, now they're going to be coming into a Lawrence park for it, and they're going to see what we have and how are we going to create those to be fun and exciting places. So you'll see a lot with strengthening partnerships through a lot of different events and programming and that kind of stuff that we do.
Up here. So another how of this is our social media strategy. As you know, or if you don't know, we have a Lawrence Parks and Rec Facebook page. So one of the things is like it if you haven't liked it yet. If you do Facebook, yes, share it with your friends. Our goal this year right now is to increase, and I'll go over the numbers in more detail, but we want to increase our followers by 45% this year. We have a new hashtag, Enjoy Lawrence Parks, 3 words. It flows easy. Enjoy Lawrence Parks. So if you do create a post and you're at the park, just do that hashtag. Just like we have Why I Love Lawrence. And you can do both of them together.
And just to interject, when someone uses a hashtag, they give us permission basically to share and use their pictures. So it is a way that we can get pictures of smiling kids and happy activity and happening in our parks, because eyes and teeth in marketing sell a lot. And so, it's great to have a lot of our wonderful facility pictures because they have their purpose, but also getting pictures of families and children and everybody enjoying our parks is going to help us.
Yeah, and to go with that, that's part of we all work hard, but this is the working smarter, not harder aspect of it. I was kind of one-man banding around taking pictures of my 7-year-old enjoying the parks. And then I noticed like several hundred people were using the sledding hill, and they all had phones. All they have to do is snap a picture, do the hashtag, and then we're getting free promotion of our parks. So that's where that's leading to. So also to go along with that, we want to create a QR code eventually for signage at the parks that will link to our pages, our events. Again, because most people have a smartphone. As Corey mentioned earlier, we're going to create handouts for the Parks and Rec table if we have that at city events. And then we're also going to incorporate the bilingual signage because we do have a growing Hispanic population. I know the school is working with that too in the bilingual aspect. And then also leverage our partnerships, as Corey mentioned, with the nonprofits such as the YMCA, local churches, youth sports leagues. We have the Arts for Lawrence. How can we co-promote each other? And then finally, as Corey mentioned, the monthly campaigns on the social media. Oh, and that's a picture of our Facebook page if you haven't liked it yet. That's your homework. Yes. And that's the link.
As far as results, we really see that we're going to have, some good financial gains from that. Our revenue facility, or increasing our facility revenue to $250,000. The plan this year is $200. We were gold a year ago at $250, and we know we didn't climb to that. So we're really looking at opportunities to get to that, and then our goal plan is to exceed that after that. We are continuing to look at private and public partnerships that can help us, because there are some things that can be done where they can actually outlay the capital and get some of those projects looking. So we are continuing to have meetings. Eric is probably getting sick of all the meetings I keep planning.
I was just liking the Facebook page. Hold on.
Good. But I think, Dina, you've seen lots of new faces coming through that door, and we'll continue to work on some of those private public partnerships so that we can really even grow well beyond the $250,000.
And with the social media aspect, the specifics are, right now we currently, actually today we have 183 followers.
184.
Yes,
Oh,
184.
I'm already on there.
Well, actually, we do have 184. I just checked earlier. So we're on our way. It's already working now. We want to get to 350 by the end of this year. And then we have another goal to create, because a lot of people are on Twitter as well, a Twitter page which can link to Facebook as well by July. We'll complete monthly campaigns, which Corey and I kind of have some planned out through July, the first quarter right now of this, to engage and drive the rentals, specifically, I believe, at Gin Park, Community Park, and some of the shelters. And then add reciprocal co-promotions with at least 4 of our partners by the end of the year.
So this is only the beginning. We have lots more to do, but we want to open it up to questions.
Not a question, but it was brought up in your presentation. You and Chief met today with a group, and one of the folks from this organization made a comment driving down Pendleton Pike and through Lawrence. And that's always been an issue with the city of Lawrence. We've prided ourselves of being a quote-unquote bedroom community. More or less, you either put your head and went to sleep here or you drove through it. And these efforts, and I'm going to be honest, some of the changes that are coming down the pipe will be embraced. Some will be asked, why are we doing this? Guys, it is progress. I mean, if we can enhance revenues by $200,000 this year, we don't have to go hat in hand to the council to get a roof put on or playground and the like. We're taking care of our own. And quality of life issues, the only way you address it is you gotta have progress. And you heard me say it before, we are all grown out of just strictly being stick and ball sports activity out here. We have. And this is just a first step. And, we're gonna vote on a Lee Road structure point design here momentarily. It's a small but a very big step, and I'll go back to the email I shared with you guys today. Lots of moving pieces right now, and it's exciting moving pieces, and it's all designed around this image that you guys just saw. Just hang on for the ride, but it'll be a fun ride. Not a bumpy ride, but it'll be a fun ride. Once more, it's like our butterfly garden. What is the 3 phases again, Miss Liz?
Sleep, creep,
Leap.
Well, we've slept long enough. We are definitely in the creep mode right now in this department, and more than just providing exercise, it is a real economic tool that we've got going. Any questions there, colleagues?
Yeah. Who's in charge of the Facebook and Twitter?
That would be me.
All right.
But I'm working with Corey
I
in
was
the
hoping
city.
to be Mr. Martin.
Oh, gosh, no.
Oh, yes.
He got his shoes on today. That's the
Couldn't have it
technological breakthrough.
Tractor pulls.
Tractor pull.
That eases my mind.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Anything else?
Yeah, I do have another
Go ahead,
question.
Tom.
How about signs? We have thousands of people that drive past the parks every day. Is there any way we could have signs that would show people what kind of opportunities they have? Because I think a lot of people aren't aware of what we have in the parks. They drive by, but they never go in the park.
Tom brought up a good point, and we were talking about when the improvement on Pendleton Pike occurs, it's going to be, like I say, more of a boulevard. But I was thinking that even when they come off Pendleton Pike and start heading west or east down 56th Street, signage that identifies, off of the fort, Lee Road Park this way, or Community Park, once you get on 56 and Franklin Road, that announces that Community Park is there.
I think that you'll hear there are a lot of people in Lawrence who believe that we need to have the wayfinding signs, and I am on that team. We need a lot of wayfinding signs, but I think it's twofold what you were saying there. It's not just about getting to the park. It's as people, what is in the park?
Yeah,
how do you go here? What do you do? I do think that as we expand in what we are doing with and get that revenue, I think it would be really important to have those wayfinding signs within the parks as well. Welcome here, here's what you can do here, and then be showing people throughout the park how to get, especially at a community park where it's so large. And when we look and with our plan of Lee Road Park to have bocce ball, cornhole, sand volleyball,
Pickleball, don't forget that. The mayor will yell at me if I don't mention.
That is the icing on the cake, our pickleball, because that is what we know is going to bring lots of people. We talk about adding frisbee golf. I mean, how do people know all that is there? And so, yes, we have to communicate it, not just through social media, but getting that signage in there. And so we need to get the revenue to be able to do that. I think when you look, and I'm going to look at Amy on this one, but the signs also that they put up, like the wayfinding signs on the MSDLT campuses,
Yes.
whether it be the elementary schools, whether it be at the high schools as they're doing the renovations, they're nice. You see them and it's not, it belongs, do you know what I mean? And it kind of helps create the tone
Right.
of that campus, because it's at that next level of how it looks and how it speaks. And I think it's important also that those signs take us to what the pride that we want everyone to appreciate within the parks.
And with Purple Line work getting going, with new roads, new infrastructure coming with that within the next couple of years, I think that's a nice time frame to look at finding signs coming north. And then with 56th Street, eventually it is going to get resurfaced. That would also be a time to tie in with signage. Like I'd like to see 56 and Franklin Road, Community Park, Lawrence Soccer Complex, because this is an economic tool. And when FC Pride puts on a tournament with 200 or 300 teams coming in.
And to make sure that people are aware of the opportunities to rent the places.
Yes, yes.
So will the QR codes do that? Will they, let's say we have a QR code on the community center, that'll tell the price of the community center, or will it be?
You could have it sell whatever you want it, basically.
Yeah. Go ahead.
It'll vary on what the amenity is. For example, if it's a place like the Sledding Hill that you're not going to rent,
Yeah.
we'd like QR codes that say, help us promote and get that marketing piece and using the hashtag. But there's also an initiative that we've talked about. There is, and actually Mr. Murphy would be thrilled I'm talking about this, but his wife and mother-in-law had the Excellence Design Challenge, where they actually, the equipment on the playgrounds and then throughout the school, we're going to be putting QR codes that actually practice mindfulness, and they have activities that they can do. It's a great way I'd like to add those QR codes eventually to our playground areas, because the kids can be teaching their parents. So if they're having a bad day or frustrated or whatever, these mindful activities are good for people of all ages, and the kids can actually, from learning that at school, can bring it to the adults in the community. So that might be the purpose of that QR code there. And then another QR code, to your point, having that on the facilities that's kind of rent me and can take you right to the page, so that it doesn't just show that facility, but it shows all that's available, so that it might say, oh, hey, I could do an indoor facility or something too, not just the shelter. So I think there's a lot of opportunities to help us get that wording out.
All right.
Ease of use, that's the main thing. Take your phone, snap it, and it'll take you right to where you can pull up the form to rent that shelter. That would be awesome. And then I had just two quick comments. Corey had mentioned embrace history because of our rich military background and everything. That's kind of something we eventually want to look at as part of our initiative down the road, is how do we also envelop that as well, like highlight the military, and that may be something with the reuse authority.
Brian Norse is president of the Fort Harrison Historical Society, and his son just happens to run track and cross country for Joe Murphy and I, so I will reach out to, and we see Brian on a regular basis anyway, so what the heck.
We've already started conversation
Yes.
with him about some things for here, and
Yeah.
so bringing our history into this building, so it's exciting.
And
Thank
then
you, Judy, for bringing that forward.
Well, it will also be highlighted on our virtual reality app once that.
Well, don't get comfortable, you're up next, so you can share all that, yeah.
I just had one last comment. As a parent with young children, it's an exciting time to promote the parks because with the pandemic, we saw so many people get out that you normally wouldn't see out as much. Being out in nature is good for your mental health, and the parks are inclusive of everybody, regardless of your economic status. A lot of them are ADA accessible, so
Nature doesn't discriminate.
all good things. So thank you.
Thank you. Good job. Thank you. And like I said, we're going to be building on it well. Part of that is the lovely and talented Miss Judy is going to give us an art update. She actually has some fun stuff. If you haven't been to the cultural campus lately, Judith, they are out there pounding away.
They are, aren't they?
Yeah, I saw them.
So,
You haven't had to yell and scream.
no, a new contractor. So we signed a contract last November, I believe, with another contractor to finish up the few items that haven't been done on the cultural campus. And if you've been out and about, you'll see that they're out there with, their tools, and the bus stop roof is complete. The non-musical swings are under construction, and they have all of the pieces and parts that had to be fabricated for the amphitheater. So we are on schedule to have a ribbon cutting on I believe it's June 17th.
About almost a year to the no hailstorms this year.
Let's hope not.
What do we got coming up? And this is, especially with it being Women's History Month.
Yes.
And it's not to patronize the women folk in here, but got Liz, the ladies here, Corey, the ladies I get to work with, Dee, Judy. This is my first teaching job at Ron Colley. I had two principals female. My athletic directors were both female. My department chair was female. And you can't. It's just, we got some really good leadership in this city. And I know it's only 1 month out of the year. It is Women's History Month, but you gals are busting it. And I'm going to give you high fives.
Thank you. For all of us.
Yeah.
Before I go on to what's on our calendar, I just have one statistic that I think might rock you. We work directly with Daily to Le Jour. We're actually going to do another impact study. They are the designers of the musical swings. And for the year of 2021, with the musical swings opening on June 18th, we had 236,000 rides on those swings.
Holy hell.
So that's pretty impressive. Not all of the people on those swings are Lawrence residents. Talk about the visitors coming in.
But we're getting back, and we want people not to drive through the daggone place.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly, and that's my point about tourism. I happen to know because I was on the campus on a weekend and I saw a family actually I saw a group of people on the swings. They were asking me some questions. It turned out that they were one family, 2 carloads that drove all the way here from Cincinnati just to play on the musical swings. So of course I told them about our local restaurants and other things to do while they were here in Lawrence, so it's all great. Coming up on our calendar, tomorrow, we have a concert in the theater. Tickets range from $10 to $30. It's an R&B soul band, and the musicians live right here in the city of Lawrence. That's tomorrow night. On Saturday night, we have our Films at the Fort. We are showcasing the grand winner of Heartland Film Festival from the past festival. It's called Americanish. It is in honor of Women's Month. It is directed by, it's the first rom-com ever directed by a Muslim American woman, and it is a rom-com featuring Muslim women. So
It
that's
is
exciting.
entertaining. It really is pretty.
It's a $2 ticket.
It's pretty funny.
On Saturday. And then every Tuesday, we have free urban line dancing on the stage from 6 to 8 p.m. Our fourth Thursday of the month is our free poetry reading, Poets Laureate. And then starting on April 1st, we start off with our Indiana Night Live, which is a sketch comedy show that will run for at least one weekend, maybe two. And registration is open for our summer art camp. So summer art camp is 4 weeks in the summer. We offer need-based scholarships. They're full scholarships. Lunch is included with camp. So if you know of any kids of need that would like to participate in our camp, please let me know. And if you would like to sign up children, it's on our website, artsforlawrence.org. I think that's my update.
Thank you, Judy.
No questions?
No, never a slow day. And a nice article in the Guys magazine this go round about a very own. What is Jay's official title?
So Jay is now the artistic director, and he has brought our programming to the incredibly high level of quality.
And Judy is also a headhunter because she was able to coax him back from the Indiana Historical Society. So she's getting it done. Thank you, ma'am. All right, guys, we got a couple things we got to get going here. New business. Down here under resolution number 1, 2022, resolution transfer appropriations between budget categories. Eric?
This is to allow for change order number 2 at the pickleball facility, which is the construction of a drive for Power and Light, or AES, to access and set their transformer. We were hoping to do it in-house, but we're just running out of time, and so we decided to push it off to the contractor, and it's not that much more than what we.
The change order is for $16,964. And that road will eventually, once everything's cleaned up and pretty, it'll be a permanent.
It'll serve as the access to
that transformer.
To the transformer and to the courts themselves.
And
so we're thinking it'll probably go along the pathway between the concession and where the courts are now.
Okay, got it. And that transfer, everything's going to be compatible if in the perfect world we get to add 8 more courts, it would service.
That transformer would be large enough for 24 more courts.
Oh, wow. Okay. So there you have it. So I would need to entertain a motion concerning change order number 2, which is resolution number 1, 2022, in the amount of $16,964 payable to Brandt.
Yeah, these are 2 separate actions.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
First, we got to do the.
The resolution is for 17,000.
Okay.
Resolution number 1.
That is the transfer of.
Correct.
That goes from where to where?
It's going from improvements other than buildings, 444010, to professional services other, 431010.
I would entertain a motion on resolution number 1.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor of the transfer?
Aye.
Carries unanimously. And then the second one, do we have to vote on it? Since we transferred the money, you get to go spend it.
Well, I would approve, I would ask since it's actually an amendment to the agreement.
Got it.
The board's signed with Charles Brandt, so if you would authorize change order number 2 for that amount.
I would entertain a motion to On change order number 2, in the amount of $16,964 payable to Brent Construction for creation of an access road to said transformer.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So we are shooting for about a first week in April for opening of pickleball court, correct?
Yeah.
More or less.
Yeah.
Okay, fingers crossed. All right, last thing we have on the agenda here is Lee Road Master Plan proposal from Structure Point. If you remember back when, they did our last master plan. So Eric, walk us through it, please.
Well, we did, we met with not only Structure Point, but Hannah Wagon Klein and
Crowning Day.
Browning Day to obtain quotes for this proposal, and Structure Point was the least expensive and provided what we asked for, which is primarily a couple meetings to review their design and then a final high-level presentation, plus some cost estimates added to it. So our thought is when we continue to develop this project at Lee Road, we're all singing off the same sheet of music, so we are all looking at.
And as we discussed the ideal, we want this as seamless as possible. And Structure Point was very aware of the property and the like. Eric, what is their timeline going forward after this?
I don't know if they.
I didn't know if they had one on here. Ms. Corey, do you know if they have a timeline as to when they may want to meet with us or any of those particulars?
Yeah, with the approval, they will get one scheduled.
Okay, got it.
They know the sense of urgency.
Thank you. Yes, it is. And the amount for their services, Eric?
$6,500.
$6,500. Okay. Are there any questions of Eric of this project?
We'll certainly bring something to the board once the committee meets to review it, so to give the board the opportunity to voice anything if they wish to, so before we finalize
Guys,
it.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you, it's going to be what is decided to go out there. We'll have all of our fingerprints all over it. So when they come back with concepts, I want you guys to dissect the hell out of it, because this is our really first big foray into restructuring.
What's going to be out there?
What do we envision, I guess?
Well, we envision, as Corey said, not only the pickleball, but we're looking to revamp 2 of the fields to multiplayer areas where they can play softball, kickball, and then also the cathedral field will convert into a multiplayer area for softball, kickball, field sports if available.
Long-term looking at sand volleyball, rehabbing the concession stand to make it a bit of a civic plaza, with the prospects of possibly selling alcohol through a third vendor, making it truly an adult recreational, a co-ed activity, which is the craze right now. A chance to raise some revenue and get that off of our hands of constantly having to rehab it all the time. The ideal of moving Fall Creek baseball over to Community Park was those fields are a pain in the buttocks anyway to take care of. And we saw this as an opportunity, and we can only use it in certain fashions, correct?
The
Lee Road Park.
Yeah, I mean, it has to stay in.
It has to be recreational use.
Yeah.
And that's why we know kind of what we'd like to see out there, but bring Structure Point on as to what this could possibly look like.
Well, tell me what Structure Point's going to do. I'm not clear about that.
They'll bring in some conceptual designs, where things will lay out, given what we want to see in the park location.
Did everybody get a copy of this or just me?
this,
Everybody got one.
Okay,
this thing?
yeah.
But, so just kind of a brainstorming session where, okay, we want the ability to have additional pickleball courts. Where will they go? You know, what's the approximate cost for that? How's the, you know, if they're going to do a pathway between them, where does that lead to? And just a better understanding of what, looking at it from a bird's eye view, what it might look like. So when we go to address private partnerships, we can show them, you know, this
This is where we want this footprint to go.
Can I just interject?
Yeah.
The big piece is that we're going to be investing money, or we're going to get partners to invest money, but we know it's not going to happen all at once, and it's going to happen in phases.
Right.
So when it's done, we want a cohesive look, and so we want to have that strong plan that kind of helps us divide it into projects, but when it's done, you can see that it was all one piece and one plan, so that it really is the park and the end product that we want it to be, and not that all of a sudden this was done here and now it's, you know, how are we going to connect these two areas? What are we going to do? Where's the natural places that need to happen? So if someone, and we're working on a partnership, and they want to put in X, Y, Z, they see what it wants, and we might have to say, and if you're doing that, we also need these additional pathways done, because then it'll make it into a connective, usable space that really has purpose for everything.
So is the plan to public-private partnerships, are they going to build like a sand volleyball court? Are we going to build that, or what?
Potentially, they could actually come in and they could fund that for us through a partnership. And so that is one way that we can get some of these projects accomplished.
Will Structure Point take a look at the fact that a lot of that's a landfill?
They're aware of that, and then again, what do we need as far as, if we go put a sand volleyball court in, do we excavate, or do we make it above grade?
So will that be in this?
The concept will be there, and their idea is they know what the ground looks like, and then of course
Their concept will be built
I
around
can tell what
that.
it looks like from the top.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, what's it look like underneath?
Well, that's the whole thing. We want to build up. We don't want to go down. So the concept is, where can we put sand volleyball courts that we can put, in essence, on top of the ground
And maintain.
and not have to go to dig into the landfill, or to dig in.
Right.
Not have to do what Fall Creek did forever. Constantly going back, fix, repair, replace.
Yeah, I mean, that is a concern that I'd have about
Yeah.
how much is that lane going to shift?
Well, and I think we'll see that the majority of the whatever development we have will be closer to the section that's already settled. We won't go towards the east side, which is less settled, in my opinion.
But some of the things you had there were out on the east side. I mean, I know that may not be the final plan, but that's where they were.
But some of the things that are on the east side, they're between the pickleball courts and that, they're things that are definitely above ground, the bocce ball. And that is not a lot of settling. The other piece, just like we have the current patio and an extension of the patio, that would then have the cornhole on that. So it's things that patio has maintained there for how many years? Since, I don't think it's been reported since my son played, and
Yeah,
he's
it's been
almost
there.
30. So I think they're things that they will be good, long-lasting investments, and that's also why they're smaller and not some of those big things. So I think that it can withstand that.
I'm just not sure what, I'm still not really clear about what we're getting from Structure Point, other than an overall topical design like what you had. That's, I mean, you've already, I mean, we already had a picture about where the things are going to be laid out.
Right.
What are we going to get over and above that?
Well, we want somebody with the engineering ability to tell us where things go, and a planning statute or planning also that they can tell us where things go.
And the pathways and things that connect, and where's the place? We have some things we talked about, for example, where can we put a playground? Because it is, though it's some of those adult recreation, it's still a family place, and it's used for a lot of things. So if someone wants to play bocce ball, but you can't see our playground currently where it exists.
I totally agree with that.
For that. And so how do we put a playground in the middle, and what do we do? And then how do we have those pathways going to it? And is there a picnic area there that needs to happen so that, because we have those two fields that where we have nothing right there, and how do we use some of those pieces on there, that blank space, so that it truly has a layout plan, not just here's where we want to put the stuff, but now how do we make it a true park with a plan, with a facility that, like I said, that we're all proud of it, that people come and it's inviting and they say, this makes sense for us to be here because my kids can play, we can picnic, we can enjoy.
Well, and more importantly, CCA, who's our first partnership that obviously was pickleball, I think they feel a lot more comfortable knowing that we have invested in a comprehensive plan of where and what we want to go out there, instead of, no offense to you, Corey, or Joe, I won't even attempt to draw anything, but I think they would feel a lot more comfortable going to their investors with a comprehensive plan from engineers and Corey, Joe, and Eric's to say, hey, this would look good here. Because if this thing works with CCA, they are going to be our best benefactor going forward to repurposing this park.
So they would be interested maybe in the future in investing in building things?
Yes.
Yes. And
They haven't done that elsewhere, right?
yes, they have.
Where did they do
Their
that?
big one is sand volleyball, I know, up at Pinheads they got involved with. That was one of the first. And it's very tight and tedious, and when they saw the prospects of bringing in a couple of sand volleyball courts to Lee Road, they breathed a big sigh of relief as the lack of difficulty in doing so. But like Eric said, having an engineer go, and this is where they do design work for us, Tom, that you need to hammer them that this stuff has to be above ground type of construction. So we're not constantly having to go in there, fix, repair, replace.
Because we don't have the money to do that, that's for sure.
No, that's you got that right. You know, that's the one big thing. We can build some nice new things, but you know, the idea, why doesn't Lawrence have a pool? We can build the pool, but maintaining the daggone thing.
We're having a lot of difficulty maintaining what we have.
Yes, sir. Yeah, and that's where the public-private.
And I think that's where we've got to be a little bit careful about what we do. Is,
Yes.
You know, there's a lot of things that we need to maintain.
Yes, and that's.
We don't have the money to do that now.
And for example, when we do some of these partnerships, most recent, Eric and I have been working with CCA, and they're going to be running a baseball tournament out at Alexander Park one weekend for somebody. But when they come, part of the agreement also is not our manpower hours. It's their responsibility to prep the fields. It's their responsibility to line the field as part of that. So we are trying to make sure that as we create these partnerships and as we grow them, that we're very clear that part of the use facility is that it's not taking those additional man hours from us, and that they have those things happening.
It's literally like our youth leagues that we have. We'll cut the grass, collect the trash, but we're heavily dependent on, I'll use FC Pride and OYO, they're our two best. Those are unique uses. They line the field, they're responsible for the general day of activity. We're responsible, because it's a public park, of just we got to cut the grass and the lights. CCA, since it is a for-profit, I think that's, you know, their promises of taking care of the facilities that they're A, either leasing, or B, they have a long-term financial investment.
And one of the things, I'm sorry, that they are also doing, for example, at Lee Road Park is CCA, they are using that for softball, that field. So they are actually the ones coming in, if you remember when we discussed that with the use agreement, and skinning that field and getting that ready for it. It is not our equipment, it's not our hours or anything. They're doing that piece to get it ready to use it that way, and actually will be easier to maintain with how it's going to be used and take care of that need.
This is a little off the subject, but the contracts that we have with CCA, it says in kind. Does that count as in kind? If they're skinning the fields, or is this the amount, the dollar amount that's in there, is that going to be a check that we get?
That will be a check we get.
So anything else, it's not counted as that part?
No, not now. Again, if they come in and build something.
Okay, if they were to come in, what they say to build 2 sand volleyball pits would be,
Wasn't it 3?
300?
Wasn't it, no, 3.
or 3, what they say that cost, what? 75,000. And that's kind of like when we entered a long-term agreement with OIO when they built that
3, yeah.
concession stand. That's their goal, I know, is to get a long-term agreement with us. And if they're willing to come in, like I said, we're not going to play baseball out there again, but if the goal is to repurpose it, they want to eventually go into a long-term agreement where they repurpose the fields to their benefit, but at the same time to our benefit.
I understand that, yeah.
Okay.
And just to also remember, as we do some of these things, we are very aware of making sure that it is not their sole use.
Right.
If they put that in, we're
Vicinity.
being very, very conscious with all those agreements that these are public parks and that our residents need to have access to these amenities. And so it's important even, we've had some proposals presented to us that we didn't bring to you and that we, for pickleball, because they wanted to use all 8 courts. And we're being
Almost
very
all the time.
aware of making sure that we have half the courts available for our residents for open play.
Very good.
I got reminded of that today. I spoke to our
Yeah, you'll like this.
DNR representative. Every 2 years, they come in and check all of our facilities where we've spent land and water conservation fund monies to make sure we have the signage and all this. And that was something she wanted to specify, that she wanted to see the agreements for OYO and FC Pride to make sure they weren't exclusive usage.
And we have a certain building that they weren't real excited that was not on the,
Well, it's been a while since they've checked, yeah, but
you know what building we're
The
talking
activity
about?
center.
The activity center, A.K. Pigeon Building.
Oh, yeah.
wasn't on their original deed, so I've got to get her some paperwork.
Okay.
Let that one kind of slip by.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about that.
No, better let a dead horse lie. So,
And just to go back to your question and concern, I mean, my biggest fear is that if we don't work from a good plan that shows good connectivity and shows a cohesive, true feel to a finished product, that as we put piece by piece in, we're going to end up, it's going to look that way. And so I really think that having a good, strong plan is going to really end with a good end product, because it's not going to happen right away. We know we don't have the capital to do it all at once. So as we are doing it piece by piece, we need to make sure that it all works well together.
So when we get the plan, if we get this thing back from Structure Point, when will we get input into that?
Well, I think that once we get the initial design, that we'll send it out, and you can certainly just, as long with Jeff and Corey and Joe and I on the committee, and give your opinion.
I said that.
More the eyes, the better, so.
yeah. Tommy, no bad reflection on you, but you and I are old. We've been around here, Ellen, Taylor, so we've been to a few of these places a few times. It's more than we'd probably like to admit, but the more the better.
So after the initial, we'd love to get your eyes on it.
I just want to make sure we don't get backed into.
Correct.
Where we're going to be that way and it has to be that way.
Yes.
We can't move on anything else? That's,
And I'll be honest, my experience working with Structure Point has been really good. It really has. To the point that sometimes they...
I'm not downing them at all.
No, to the point they're annoying. They want
It can
input.
happen in any case. I've seen
Right.
it happen too many times where something happens and then you're locked into moving in that direction, and even if it's not the best idea, you're locked
You're
into it.
locked into it. I understand.
That's what I don't want.
And you'll see that part of their proposal does also have the different feedback sessions. So they know what they give us. When we see that the first time, they're expecting that they're going to get some, that, you know, they're going to be going back to the drawing board to make sure that it's meeting the needs of what, as a board, can best, you know, assess that that's what we need for our community.
Okay.
All right. All right. Any other questions? Not, I would entertain a motion of entering into an agreement with Structure Point for a redesign plan of Lee Road Park in the amount of $6,500.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, let's get drawing.
Can
Okay.
I ask one more question?
Sure.
On the original master plan, it says install a 1.5-mile multi-use trail along the park perimeter. Is that still in, would that be part of the deal?
That will be part of the design, will be
Would that, and that would connect to the other trail?
existing, yes.
And at the trailhead there, that's where part of our next level trail grant ideal is. That would be a connector going north and then east, Eric,
Along 63rd Street.
down 63rd Street.
Oh, okay.
So,
That's the 1.5 we put in, the art money, will do the
Jumpin' Joe
Road
Murphy
and-
sweating bullets on it.
Lee Road up to 71st Street, and then 63rd to roughly Sunnyside.
Sunnyside, yeah. Tom,
Wow,
get some new shoes.
tell you. Well, I love that trail back there.
I know.
The trail's great.
Well, there's already some trail there if we can just connect.
That's what I mean.
Disconnect it.
I use that a lot.
Yeah.
It's a good deal.
All right. Anything else for good of the cause, Chief? Anything? Miss Judith, ladies?
I just wanted to thank Corey. She's been a joy to work with. Oh, thanks.
All right.
Very good.
Go Hoosiers tomorrow. The only thing I got to say. We are adjourned.